My aunt was diagnosed with ALS. I left the military, borrowed from loan sharks, and carried the burden of my aunt's remaining years alone. For 5 years, debt collectors beat me until my ribs cracked. I could not bear to buy painkillers. I collapsed from exhaustion on my way to work. I could not afford to rest. Every cent went toward keeping my aunt alive. Until I was working as a waiter at a 5-star hotel. When I saw the aunt who should have been in a wheelchair, waiting for me to come home. She wore a crisp military uniform, her epaulets gleaming, chatting casually with her former subordinates. Major General Jiang, you've been pretending to have ALS for 5 years. Chen has nearly worked himself to death paying for your treatment. Has he not been punished enough? My aunt gave a quiet scoff. It is about enough. If Chen had not been so willful and unable to tolerate it, driving him into depression, I would not have had to fake paralysis and a terminal illness to temper his stubborn nature. Was transferred to the capital military district to build his credentials. His mood had finally improved a little, and he has agreed to forgive Chen. After a while, I will have the medical team arrange a miraculous recovery. Then Chen can return to the army. He has suffered enough. So, it is time he learned to behave. Her former subordinate hesitated. ALS is terminal. How could anyone recover from it? Will Chen believe it? My aunt smiled with certainty. I raised that foolish boy from childhood. Which word of mine has he ever doubted? As is the orphan of a martyr. He is sensitive. As his older brother, Chen should give in to him more. I am doing this for his own good. I will make it up to him later. I lowered my head as tears fell soundlessly. But Anne, there will be no later for us. Your terminal illness is fake, but mine is real. The bitter wind outside cut coldly across my body. Like a numb puppet, I stood nailed in place, enduring the agony of 1,000 cuts as 5 years of faith collapsed. Every cut tore out blood and flesh. My aunt's comrade, Ren Chinkian, sighed. I have to say, you are truly heartless. That is the child you raised yourself. The youngest ace sniper in the military district. For you, he left the army without hesitation. He is barely in his 20s, yet he already looks like an old man. A few days ago, he was scraping together money for your imported medicine. He was short 800 yuan. He even came to borrow money from me. My aunt's expression darkened instantly. Did you lend it to him? Ren Chinkian shook her head helplessly. You gave strict orders. How could I dare? That boy stood outside my dormitory all afternoon. He fainted from low blood sugar. I did not dare help him. When he woke, he held onto the wall and left by himself. What Ren Chinkian did not say was this. That day, I pressed my service pistol to my temple and said, Aunt Ren, there is 1 bullet left in the chamber. If you will not lend it to me, I will pull the trigger. My aunt had gone without medicine for 7 days. Whenever she coughed, bloody foam came from her lungs. Yet Ren Chinkian only reddened her eyes, gritted her teeth and disassembled my gun. She shoved me out the door as though I were a plague. She had not refused to see me. She was forbidden to. My aunt snorted coldly. Listen carefully. Until Jiang returns from recuperating in the capital, no one is to help Chen. Whether he kneels begs, even if he dies before your eyes, you will not spare him so much as a glance. Jiang takes things deeply to heart, and his depression has only just improved. Chen's 5-year punishment cannot be shortened by even 1 day. If anyone upsets us, do not blame me for being ruthless. The private room fell deathly silent. Someone awkwardly reminded her, Major General, are you not afraid Chen will lose heart when he learns the truth? Before the words had faded, my aunt gave a derisive laugh. Lose heart? I raised him. I gave him his life. What is a little suffering to him? It's just different. He has no family at all. He has suffered so much. It is only right that I treat him well. Her gaze swept over the room. Once today's words leave this room, if even one reaches Chen's ears, do not blame me for forgetting our old ties. I leaned against the icy wall, my hands and feet numb. The 5 years I had traded my life for had only been a carefully arranged punishment. A phone rang inside the private room. Footsteps approached the door. I had no time to hide. As I turned in panic, I collided with the manager carrying wine. The bottle of military special reserve liquor on his tray shattered. The manager's face changed. He slapped me across the face. The private room door opened. My aunt strode out without even looking my way. She opened her arms and embraced the approaching Jiang. Why did you come back on your own? Did we not agree that I would pick you up? Jiang laughed brightly. I missed you, aunt, so I came to surprise you. Wearing a mask, I knelt on the cold marble floor. I was less than a meter away from them. My reddened eyes ached at the sight of Jiang's watch, its brilliant diamonds stabbing into them. That ring of tiny diamonds. Any one of them could pay for 3 months of my aunt's imported medicine. The manager cautiously stepped forward. Major General Jiang, I am terribly sorry. This idiot broke the liquor. Black combat boots stopped in front of me. My aunt frowned impatiently. She pointed at me. Since you broke it, clean this carpet with your bare hands. If it steps on even half a shard, you will swallow every piece. I remained kneeling there, staring at my bloody palms, then suddenly laughed under my breath. Tears fell, mingling with the warm blood pouring from my nose. The manager jumped in fright. "What is wrong with you? You are bleeding so much." I staggered to my feet and wiped my face carelessly with my sleeve. The cuff was instantly stained red, maybe because I am about to die. Ignoring his stunned expression, I turned away, letting blood drip behind me, trailing into a broken red line. Step by step, I dragged myself out. When I pushed open the door at home, the sound of shattering porcelain came from the kitchen. My aunt was struggling to prop herself up with both arms, trying to crawl out of her overturned wheelchair. When she saw me, she lowered her head, her eyes quickly reddening. "Chen, I only wanted to warm you a cup of milk. I am so useless. I am just a useless invalid." Her speech was slurred, saliva spilling from the corner of her mouth, along with trembling hands and despairing eyes. She looked exactly like an owl's patient tortured by illness for years. Then I suddenly remembered. Before her diagnosis, my aunt had been a severe germaphobe. She polished her service pistol 3 times a day, and could not tolerate a single crease in her uniform. Yet for Jiang, she had played out this filthy, agonizing act for a full 5 years. At that moment, I almost wanted to cut open her chest with a knife, just to see whether her heart was truly made of stone. When I said nothing, her shoulders slumped helplessly. "Chen, do you think your aunt is dirty? Go. Do not worry about me anymore." I walked over in silence, righted the wheelchair, and helped her back into it. Then I fetched warm water and wiped away the stains. She suddenly gripped my wrist. Her gaze fell on my mangled, bloody palm. "How did this happen? Who hurt you?" I stared at her. The concern in her eyes was clearly feigned. "Someone who looked a lot like you hurt me at the NGÓN Hotel." My aunt's jaw clenched. I smiled again. "But I know it was not you. You would never lie to me, right?" My aunt looked away. "Of course not. You are the most important person to me, Chen. I would never lie to you." I forced back the sting in my eyes. Then I pushed her out of the kitchen. I made dinner and brought it out. The living room was empty. The bedroom door was ajar. A hushed call came from inside. "Be good, Ush. I have a huge surprise for you tomorrow. I will celebrate your birthday myself." Jiang's voice caught over the phone. "But tomorrow is also my brother's birthday. If you do not stay with him, will he be sad?" My aunt comforted him softly. "Silly boy. You are my most precious treasure." Chen stopped celebrating his birthday long ago. He is used to it. Jiang cheered. "I knew you loved me best." I stood by the door for a long time. Finally, I silently untied my apron and left. The next day, at the military hospital, I took my aunt for a follow-up. Her doctor looked excited. "Mr. C, a research institute in the capital has a highly effective drug. It is highly effective against ALS." I secured Major General Jiang a trial spot. Unlike his excitement, I calmly asked, "What are the odds of recovery?" "Over 80%. My aunt's eyes reddened on cue. "Chen, I can get better. I can stay with you." My lips twitched. A faint smile appeared. "If only one of us could live. I would always want you to be the one who lived." My aunt froze, her brows whereupon tightly. "What nonsense are you saying? We will both live well. When I recover and return to the military, you will again be the military's proudest sniper. But I do not want that honor anymore. And I do not want you as my aunt anymore." Saying the examination was complicated, the doctor asked me to leave. I knew it was only an excuse to send me away. I stood at the hallway corner, watching my aunt quickly change out of her gown. She walked steadily into the elevator. Downstairs, that familiar black, military-plated sedan had been waiting. I silently looked away. Then I entered another examination room at the end of the hall. "Mr. C, your brain tumor is pressing on vital nerves. Surgery is no longer possible." The doctor sighed heavily. "Half a month ago, there may have been hope. You likely have only a day or two. Say a proper goodbye to your family." I sat silently for a long time before nodding. My phone screen lit up. A new message appeared. "Come by the military housing complex." It was from Jiang. I hailed a cab to the Shishan military housing complex. 5 years had passed. I thought it had long changed hands. But the detached military house blazed with light. It was decorated like a fairy tale castle. It was packed with elegantly dressed guests. Jiang clung tightly to my aunt's arm. The crowd surrounded him. He stood before a 6-tier cake. He clasped his hands. "My wish is to be the only young master in your heart, forever and ever." My aunt smiled. She took a dark blue velvet box from her uniform pocket. The instant she opened it, the blood in my veins seemed to freeze. Inside was a pair of Jade Buddha pendants. They were Jiang family heirlooms, given only to son-in-law. On my 18th birthday, my aunt had once placed them in my palm. "Chen, whether or not you are willing to accept me, you will always be the most precious young master in my heart. I would treasure them more than my life. Even in my darkest days, I would guard them fiercely." But now, inside those smooth green jade pendants, a new name was engraved, Jiang. To the crowd's applause and blessings, my aunt solemnly placed them around Jiang's neck. "My young master, congratulations. Your wish has come true." I did not know how I escaped that blinding light. Like a ghost, I drifted through the freezing streets all day. Only at nightfall did I return to my rented room in a rundown old tenement. The door stood open. The place looked like a storm had torn through it. My aunt's arms were twisted behind her back. Her hands were pinned to the floor. Her new uniform was covered in dust. She struggled, veins bulging in her neck. The woman in charge had a toothpick in her mouth. Long time no see, brat. Time to pay this month's money, right? My face went deathly pale. I had clearly paid off every debt. The woman sneered and ground her foot into my aunt's back. If I say it is not paid off, it is not paid off. What? You do not want to pay? Then let us see how many blows from a club your precious aunt can take. Chen, do not worry about me. Go hurry. Let them beat me to death. I am a useless burden anyway. I had heard those exact words countless times over 5 years. I closed my eyes warily. They had demanded money countless times. It never harmed my aunt in the slightest. And to protect the person who had deceived me so deeply, I had suffered broken ribs and a crippled leg. I had nearly given everything I had. A rusty taste rose in my throat. I spoke hoarsely. What do you want from me? The woman looked me up and down with contempt. Crawl between each of our legs. For each one, bark like a dog 3 times. Then we will call this debt settled. My aunt screamed, her eyes bloodshot. No, Chen cannot do it. She struggled to rise, but they held her down. My lips curled numbly. The last faint spark in my heart sputtered out. My own voice sounded terrifyingly calm. Since this is what you want, let us call it even. I had clearly said it to those women. But my aunt suddenly looked up. A flash of startled panic crossed her eyes. But then she remembered her promise to Jiang. This was the final punishment, so she looked away. Even as she pretended to struggle, she secretly used the tiny camera hidden in her cuff to film me kneeling before the women. Then she sent it. The crowd dispersed. I lay on the floor for a long time before finding the strength to stand. My aunt crawled toward me, her eyes red. She had meant to put on another pitiful act, but when she saw my lifeless eyes, the words died in her throat. The next day, doctors came to take my aunt to the capital for the miracle drug treatment. Before getting into the car, she gripped my hand tightly, looking back at me every few steps. Chen, when I come back, I will make sure you hold a sniper rifle again. You will become the military's brightest soldier again. I will never let anyone bully you again. I smiled but did not answer. I watched quietly as the car vanished down the street. Then I suddenly doubled over, covering my mouth. Blood poured through my fingers. With blood-soaked fingers trembling, I unlocked my phone. Using my last strength, I typed each word. And I will not wait for you anymore. Let my life repay the Jiang family for raising me, and make amends for Jiang's grievances. Bury me beside my parents. Message sent. I closed my eyes helplessly. Then the phone on the ground began vibrating madly. The moment she boarded the private jet, Jiang, waiting in the cabin, smiled happily. Aunt, you can finally travel with me. He pulled out a thick travel journal. Every page was covered with photos and ticket stubs, packed with souvenir stamps from around the world. It mapped the places Jiang had visited during 5 years of recuperation. Everywhere he went, my aunt arranged elite security for him, the most comfortable itineraries, and the most luxurious accommodations. She lavished him with unconditional affection. Yet to deceive me, for 5 years, she played a patient wasting away beside me. She squeezed into a cramped, shabby rental with me, eating the cheapest food, watching me personally strip off my uniform, all for her exorbitantly priced medicine. I ran myself ragged through countless nights, until I was little more than skin and bones. Now, because Jiang said he wanted to travel with her, she spun another lie, leaving me alone in that cold, suffocating old apartment. She had told too many lies over those 5 years. Deceit had seemingly become second nature. But before the cabin door closed, the last figure she glimpsed suddenly struck deep into her heart. A sharp stab pierced her chest. It hurt terribly. Jiang looked at her unhappily. Aunt, why are you ignoring me? If you cannot bear to leave my brother, you can still go back now. I am the one who came later. Anyway, my brother hates me. It is only right that you despise me too. Luoyan had heard such words countless times before. Every time, they made her pity him and compensate him twice as much. But this time, she frowned deeply. For once, she did not soothe him gently at once. Jiang was the son of one of her late subordinates. He had grown up with us in the military compound. After his father died in the line of duty, his mother soon died of illness as well. Seeing how alone he was, my aunt completed the adoption paperwork, raising 2 boys at once, placed an even heavier burden on her shoulders, so that my aunt would not have to worry about me. I pushed myself to my limits. In training and in school, I only wanted to make her proud, not become a burden. But at that time, Jiang was afraid of losing the support he had fought so hard to gain. He secretly photographed a document in my aunt's study, a classified draft involving changes to military exercise plans, and sent it to someone eyeing her position with ambition. That day, I caught him outside the study. Fury surged through me, and I raised my hand to strike him. Before my hand could fall, my aunt rushed back and clamped down on my wrist. She saw only my face twisted by rage, and Jiang's tearful plea as he cowered. Brother, I know you resent that aunt cares about me, but I really did not touch that file. If you insist on framing me, I will submit to any investigation, even a court-martial. That slap I never delivered became a sharp slap from my aunt across my face. The coldness and disappointment in her eyes were like poison icicles. See, Chen, Look at yourself. Do you look anything like someone from a military family? You have utterly disappointed me." That was the first time she had ever struck me. And from then on, the scales were completely tipped. Whenever Jiang cried, I was accused of being petty and unable to tolerate him. Whenever Jiang threw a fit and left home, I was accused of driving him away. Whenever Jiang suffered a depressive episode, I was accused of provoking him with my words. Later, the Jiang family fell from power. Jiang was immediately sent abroad to recuperate. Back then, I naively believed our 10 years of depending on each other could never be broken. I even secretly felt relieved. As long as Jiang was no longer between us, my aunt and I could return to how things were. But reality was a bucket of cold water, chilling me to the bone. Jiang had not simply been sent away. My aunt had carefully arranged everything for him, so he could enjoy the freedom and luxury I could not even imagine. While I struggled to earn a few hundred yuan for medicine, working as a human punching bag at a boxing club, refusing to go down even when I coughed up blood. He was at a ski resort in the Alps, complaining that his private instructor was not professional enough. Zhang Luoyan remained silent for a long time. Only the low roar of the engines filled the cabin. So many scenes she had deliberately ignored now came rushing back uncontrollably. She remembered how, after hitting every target at the range, my eyes shone when I turned to look at her. She remembered me saving my allowance to secretly buy food for the stray retired military dog outside the compound. She remembered that from childhood onward. Apart from that incident with Jiang, I had never shown malice toward anyone, and every accusation that I had mistreated Jiang seemed to have come solely from Jiang himself. Irritably, she tugged at the collar of her uniform. Jiang's aggrieved sobbing in her ear now only left her inexplicably uneasy. "No one despises you," she finally spoke, her voice slightly hoarse. "Am I not here traveling with you? Do not say things like that again. After all, he was the boy she had cherished for so many years." Her expression softened as she prepared to rise. "I will get you a cup of fruit juice." Just then, the encrypted military phone on the seat beside her suddenly lit up. The moment she picked it up, Jiang snatched it from her. "Aunt, I am hungry. Could you get me some fruit first?" Zhang Luoyan thought her military duties had been temporarily handed over, and the medical arrangements were settled. There should be no urgent matters. So she nodded, then headed to the dining area at the front of the cabin. When she returned with a platter of fruit, the phone screen had gone dark. Zhang smiled and handed the phone back. "It was a travel confirmation from your aide." So I replied, "Got it for you?" Zhang Luoyan suspected nothing. She looked out at the endless sea of clouds. Yet somewhere inside, she felt strangely hollow, as if a piece were missing. For a full half-month, she shut off most communications and devoted herself to Jiang. On the day they returned, before the plane had even landed, she eagerly turned her phone back on. She opened the chat she had pinned. Though it had been silent for far too long, her fingertips hovered over the keyboard. After a pause, she pressed the voice message button instead. Her voice held an unusual urgency, and a trace of unease she could barely conceal. "Chen, my treatment went smoothly. I recovered even better than expected. I will be home today. Wait for me to bring you your favorite chestnut cake." Of course, one chestnut cake was nowhere near enough. She immediately called her adjutant. "Arrange it immediately. Clean and refurnish the house of the Shishan military family compound. Do it according to Chen's old preferences. Contact the quartermaster's office. Have a complete set of new training and service uniforms tailored for him. Estimate his current measurements. Also, I remember he liked that military off-road vehicle built for mountain terrain. Find a way to get one here. Also, transfer a portion of my assets entirely into Chen's name. Complete the paperwork as quickly as possible." Jiang listened from nearby, his nails dug deeply into his palms. Jealousy coiled around his heart like poisonous vines. He forced a smile, but his voice was bitter. "Aunt, you are so good to my brother. If only I had met you first. Not like me. The moment I make a mistake, I get sent away. No matter how reckless my brother is, you will always protect him." Zhang Luoyan's brow suddenly furrowed. Chen has suffered enough. These past 5 years were to keep my promise to you, and it was also meant to help him mature. She added after pausing to choose her words. "I promise to treat you well, but if something is not yours, do not dare covet it. Remember this. Chen is the person I, Zhang Luoyan, swore beneath the military flag to protect. Everything the Jiang family has to offer belongs to him. I have fulfilled what I promised you. Chen does not like you. When we return, I will arrange an apartment for you downtown. You will move there." Jiang went deathly pale, as if struck by an invisible blow. "Aunt, you do not want me anymore. You personally promised at my birthday party that you would grant my wish. How can you?" Zhang Luoyan's expression turned even colder. "I have never denied that you are my adopted child. You will not lack the care I owe you. I will still visit you when I have time. Your expenses will remain covered. But I have owed Chen far too much these past 5 years. I will never let him suffer another injustice." Zhang lost control. He has suffered, Have I not suffered too? He tore the jade Buddha pendant from his wrist and held it up. Look, this is the Buddha pendant you gave me. You said it represented acceptance and inheritance. Only son-in-law of the Jiang family receive one. How can you deny it? Looking at the agitated Jiang Luoyan frowned deeply. For the first time, she clearly felt that she had never truly seen this boy for who he was. Her voice was icy, each word deliberate. Jiang, look carefully. That Buddha pendant in your hand was a copy I later had made from the original design. And another thing. She paused briefly. A cold, absurd glint flickered in her eyes. Surely you did not think I would give the Jiang family heirloom to you. That is a gift from my future beloved. How can I possibly give it to anyone else? The scorn in her voice was like an invisible slap, striking Jiang's pale face hard. Enough. You are making a fool of yourself. She looked away, her tone leaving no room for argument. If you do not want to live in the downtown apartment, I can arrange for you to settle abroad. Your lifestyle will remain unchanged. Jiang slumped in his seat, cold from head to toe. At last, he realized in despair that no matter how he schemed and plotted, some bonds and sense of belonging were inborn, and he could never take them away. Suddenly, he remembered half a month earlier, the unknown message he had hurriedly deleted from Jiang Luoyan's phone, and the string of vicious taunts he later sent using his own phone. A chill shot from his feet up his spine, making him shudder uncontrollably. The moment the plane landed, Jiang Luoyan did not even change out of her civilian clothes before driving straight to that old apartment block. During those brief 2 weeks, as she revisited old places with Jiang, what filled her mind most was, I should bring a Chen here. He would definitely love this. His punishment was over. It was time to bring her little soldier home. But when she pushed open that familiar, rust-stained iron door, there was only cold, deathly silence inside. A thin layer of dust covered the table. Cheap bedding lay folded neatly. There was no trace of life left in the air. She remembered the voice message that had gone unanswered, with no reply ever coming. A fierce unease instantly seized her heart. Her fingertips went cold as she immediately called her adjutant. Her voice trembled, though she did not realize it. Locate Chen immediately. Now, there was silence for several seconds on the other end. Her adjutant's voice was unusually grave. Commander, you should return to the Shishan military family compound first. Shishan military family compound. Jiang Luoyan pushed open the half-closed front door. A doctor in a white coat stood in the living room. Beside her adjutant, a dark, square wooden box sat on the coffee table. Dr. Jia, the attending military doctor, turned with a solemn expression. She lifted the wooden box with both hands and offered it to Jiang Luoyan. Jiang Luoyan did not take it. Her face was ashen as she stared at the box, as if it were the most absurd and terrifying thing in the world. Dr. Jia. She tried to smile, but her facial muscles were impossibly stiff. That boy has learned to scare people now. Enough? How much did he pay you to put on this act? I will pay 10 times that. 20 times. Tell him to come out. Dr. Jia looked at the woman before her. There was no fear in her eyes, only profound pity and a trace of undisguised mockery. She shook her head. Then she gently placed the urn on the coffee table. Major General Jiang, Comrade Chen, was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor a year ago. At the time, surgery had a 70% chance of success, but he refused it. He said his money and strength had to be saved for his aunt's treatment. Even a month ago, there was still a 20% chance. Yet he still gave it up. He spent his last savings on the imported medicine you needed. Dr. Xia's voice was steady, yet every word cut like a blade. His body was worn down to nothing. Long-term severe malnutrition and overwork. Old wounds left unhealed as new ones kept coming. And he was only in his 20s. His body had deteriorated like that of a dying old man. Her gaze swept over the tastefully furnished, spacious, brightly lit living room. Before settling on Jiang Luoyan's crisp uniform, he gave his chance at life to a patient with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Dr. Xia's lips curled slightly. Her smile was freezing cold. He cared about you until his dying breath. But now, it seems you may not deserve that devotion. Major General Jiang, bringing his ashes back here to you, was his final wish. My task is complete. Believe it or not, what you do now is your decision. After Dr. Jia finished speaking, she gave a standard military salute, then turned and left. The moment she stepped outside, a deafening crash of shattering glass came from behind her, followed by a strangled roar of unbearable anguish. Jiang Luoyan sat from afternoon until late at night, like a statue stripped of its soul, curled in the corner of the living room. The documents her adjutant delivered lay scattered across the floor. Every page was cold, hard evidence, exposing 5 years of carefully woven lies, and all the suffering endured by the boy she had deliberately ignored. In the dead silence, the sound of a key turning startled her awake. Jiang entered carrying armfuls of luxury shopping bags, humming as he pushed open the door. Before he could turn on the lights, a tremendous force hurled him violently to the floor. The shopping bags burst open. Luxury goods rolled across the floor. A terrified scream caught in his throat. A figure slowly rose from the shadows. The lights flashed on. Jiang Luoyan stood before him, her face held in almost deathly calm, but the icy storm in her eyes could freeze a person solid. Jiang's gaze fell upon the dark wooden box on the coffee table and the scattered documents. His pupils constricted as his whole body began to shake violently. Luoyan lowered her eyes, her voice cold. I ask, you answer. Understand. Bloodless and panicked, Jiang nodded. That draft of the exercise adjustment plan in the study, years ago. You leaked it, did you not? He nodded tremblingly. Every accusation you made against Chen over the years, the exclusion, coercion, and provocation, was all staged by you to frame him? Cold sweat soaked Jiang's back. He tried to crawl over and grabbed Zhang Luoyan's pant leg, but she mercilessly kicked him away. Zhang Luoyan's voice was frighteningly low. One last question. You deleted the last message Chen sent me before he died, and afterward, you used my phone to send those curse-filled messages too. Jiang's mental defenses completely crumbled. He burst into loud sobs. Annie, I was just scared. Chen shared a decade-long bond with you. What did I have? I only wanted to be the most important person in your heart. I only wanted to keep this comfortable, wealthy life. What did I do wrong? What is wrong with fighting for the life I wanted? Zhang Luoyan stared at his twisted face, streaming with tears and snot. Then her lips suddenly curled into a smile. Laughter spilled from deep in her throat. It began low and hoarse, then grew louder, until it became an almost crazed, rasping laugh. She laughed until she doubled over, until tears streamed freely down her face. For something like him, she had spent 5 years, destroying the boy she loved most with her own hands. Jiang was taken away amid his anguished cries. Where he went remained a mystery. Soon after, well-connected insiders quietly learned that 2 young masters in Major General Jiang's household had died of illness in succession. But at the grand funeral, only Chen had a coffin. In the south, in a border town blessed with eternal spring, I crouched before my landlord's old television. The screen was broadcasting a news report from a northern metropolis. In the footage, a grand funeral was underway beneath a somber atmosphere. Before the gravestone, a woman in a crisp military uniform wept so hard that her body shook, reduced to skin and bones. She had to be supported several times just to remain standing. Biting into an apple, I mumbled my opinion. Sister Jia, that woman is crying so terribly. Her younger brother died. He looked pretty young. What a shame. The news gave the gravestone a close-up. The boy in the black and white photograph had calm, gentle features. I stared at it for a long while, then suddenly pointed at the screen in surprise. Sis, come look. Why does the person in that photo look a little like me? The apron-clad woman leaned out from the kitchen. After one glance at the screen, she declared firmly. Not at all. Our Chen is much more handsome. I smiled in satisfaction, turned off the television, and skipped into the kitchen to help her. I knew Sister Jia was not my real sister, but no one in this world treated me better than she did. I remember dying once. She snatched me back from death's grasp. The price was losing all memory of my past. When I regained consciousness beneath the shadowless surgical lights, I looked at my skeletal wrist, covered in old and fresh scars, and found the world utterly blank to me. Perhaps I should have been grateful. My past must have been too painful to revisit. Congratulations on your new life. A warm, dry hand reached out to me. A fruit candy in a colorful wrapper rested in her palm. Backlit by the sunlight outside, she smiled gently. Yet her eyes held a deep, complicated relief I could not understand. For no reason, my nose stung at that moment. She told me she had a younger brother with the same illness I had. They could not save him. In some way, my new life had redeemed her. From then on, we became siblings who had only each other. I went with her, as she was transferred from the military general hospital to this southern town known for its peace and happiness. Our days were simple, but warm and fulfilling. The only unexpected event came 6 months later. The woman who had cried hysterically on television somehow found this place. When she saw me, she froze in disbelief. Then her eyes reddened. She rushed toward me, wanting to cry and laugh at once, calling my name in a breathless babble. She said she was my aunt, the person closest to me. I frowned deeply. A powerful sense of betrayal and revulsion rose inside me. I shouted back, exposing her lies. You are my aunt. Then, where were you when I was dying on that operating table? Where were you? Did you beat me and leave me with all these old injuries? I have lived here for so long, and only now you find me. If you truly were family, if you could treat me this way, then you have some nerve. I slapped her across the face. Then I viciously warned her never to follow me again. But it was as though she had lost all reason. Like the most stubborn shadow, she followed behind me for an entire year, through wind and rain, silent, yet never a step away. Until one day, she suddenly disappeared. Sister Jia told me she had died. Sudden death from overwork. She possessed wealth and status beyond ordinary imagination, yet obsessively worked 7 or 8 odd jobs a day, ate the worst food, and lived in the most rundown places. She barely slept, punishing herself without rest. In the end, she collapsed while delivering food on a night of torrential rain. I felt nothing as I listened, only a faint, wistful sadness. The inheritance she left behind was all bequeathed to me through her lawyer. I did not accept it. Instead, I donated every cent to veterans support, foundations, and brain tumor research organizations. After all, she and I had